Hi everyone! Today I'm going to demonstrate how to crochet a quick and easy amigurumi heart. This project can be done in a few hours or in one afternoon, and you only need the most basic crochet skills like the magic ring, single crocheting, increasing, decreasing, and just a little bit of sewing. But I'll show you how to do all that. To begin, these are the materials that you're going to need. You'll need any yarn. I'm using Sportway yarn. This is Yarn Art Jeans in this really pretty coral color. And I'm using a 3.25mm hook, so just use whatever hook is best for your yarn. It should say so on the label. But I'm using this yarn because I'm using Sportway yarn, this hook because I'm using Sportway yarn, and this is the Furls Odyssey hook. You'll also need embroidery scissors, fiberfill stuffing, or any kind of stuffing. If you don't have this fiberfill, then you can use scrap yarn or even some felt or anything you have lying around. And you'll need a tapestry needle for the yarn to sew in, to weave in the ends. And then to embroider the face, this is the mouth, we'll need a embroidery needle, which is just a little bit thinner. You can see that the eye is a little bit smaller. Some embroidery thread, and safety eyes. I'm using 4mm safety eyes. We're going to begin with a magic circle. To make a magic circle, lay the yarn across your fingers diagonally like this, leaving about a 6-inch tail, and then wrap the yarn around the back of your fingers, and then wrap it across the front of your fingers to make an X like this. And then wrap it around the back and just hold the yarn there with your fingers. Next, you're going to grab your hook with your right hand and then flip your left hand over. And using your hook, you're going to go under the first piece of yarn, over the second, and pull the second piece of yarn back. And then twist your arm so that you twist and form a loop with the yarn on your hook. And then going from left to right under the left side of the V, pull this new loop through the loop that's already on your hook. If that was a little too fast for you, just click over here for a more in-depth beginner tutorial for the magic ring. Next, we're going to work 6 single crochets into the magic ring, and we're going to do them just like this. So go through the magic circle, and then with your hook from left to right, yarn over, meaning you're just going to pull the, just going to lay the yarn over your hook, which is a yarn over, and then you're going to pull that yarn up into a loop, and then yarn over again, and pull through. So that was a single crochet. And again, if you think I'm going too fast, then just click over here for a tutorial on how to work single crochets in a magic circle. So that was the first single crochet, so we're going to do 6 total. 2, I'm just going to pull the tail end of the yarn to close the magic circle. Grab a stitch marker and then place the marker in the very last stitch of your round. So that's going to be here. I'm just going to put the stitch marker in. So now we have our first round, which is made of 6 stitches, and you can just make sure that you have all the right number of stitches by looking on the ends and noting that this is a V. So count the number of V's that you have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 V's. So each V is 1 stitch, meaning you have 6 stitches. So after we finish the first round, we're going to move on to the second round, which calls for an increase in every single stitch. So to do that, I'm just going to work 2 single crochet stitches into each of the 6 single crochet stitches that were in the very first round. So I'm going to begin by going to the first single crochet stitch, and then single crocheting 1, and then another one. And I'm just going to continue that increase all around. So that was the first increase, and now I'm doing the second increase. So that's 1 and 2. 2 stitches in the second stitch, 3 increases, 4 increases, 5 increases. So once you've gone to the fifth stitch, I'm just going to remove my stitch marker from the last stitch and then work into that last stitch. So it's my last increase, and in the second stitch of the increase, which is the last stitch of this round, I'm just going to put the stitch marker back into the last stitch of the second round. So now we've finished our 2 rounds, and we can move on to the third round. The third round says that we need to do a single crochet and then an increase. So I'm just going to do that 6 times around. So just checking, we're supposed to have 12 stitches in this round, so I'm just going to check that really quickly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that was 12 single crochet stitches in the second round. So for round 3, we're going to do a single crochet stitch and then an increase in each stitch. So single crochet stitch, and then an increase. Single crochet stitch, and an increase. So this is my last increase. 1 and 2. So in the last stitch, had some splitting there. In my last stitch of this third round, I'm going to replace the stitch marker in the last stitch. Great. So we've just finished our third round. I just gave the tail tug because my magic circle was loosening a little bit. Now we just need to repeat. We just need to single crochet all around this third round 3 times. So for 3 rounds. 4 rounds 4 through 6. So I'm just gonna single crochet into every single stitch all around, and you can keep track of which round you're on by noting it down on like a sticky note or just remembering it. Or you can just count all the rounds after you're done. So that was round 4 completed, and at this point you can see that my work is naturally curving a little bit, but this is the wrong side facing out. And you can identify that because on the outside there are these little horizontal bars instead of the V's, which are on the inside. And so to flip the right side out, I'm just going to flip my work inside out and just continue crocheting. So I just finished the 4th round, so I'm just going to replace the stitch marker there. but from now on I'm just going to continue crocheting in a clockwise direction instead of a counterclockwise direction. So that was the 5th round, and just have one more round to go. Alright, so I've just finished the 6th round of the first side of the heart, so we're going to make one more, and then we're going to join them to create the bottom of the heart. So the way we're going to finish off this first half is we're going to cut the yarn and then pull the loop out so that it doesn't come undone. So once you've done that, your piece will not come unraveled. And I'm just going to finish off, I'm going to invisible finish off the bottom of the heart so that we can attach it to the second half later on. So to invisible finish off, I'm just going to identify the second stitch closest to the last stitch. So that's 1, 2, it's this one. And then I'm just going to go through the second stitch closest to my last stitch. And I'm going to use my needle and go through the back loop of the last stitch. So I've turned it so that the last stitch is kind of on the other side, so I'm just going to go through the outside leg of the last stitch. And we've just invisible finished off, so you can't really see the ridge. It's kind of hidden a little bit. If you pull it around, then it'll be even more hidden. And then I'm just going to weave in the end, and so that the end is facing the inside, so I can just cut it. There, so we've just finished the first half of the top of the heart, and I'm just tucking the tail inside so that I can use it as stuffing later. So just make another one of these in the exact same way, but do not do the finishing off like we just did here. So I've just finished the second half of the top part of the heart. So you can see this is going to be the top half, and then we're going to connect them together. So now we're going to have to connect the two top parts of the heart together. And we're going to do this by, so we're still working on the second half, but we're going to just immediately crochet onto the first half that we made. So I'm just going to insert my hook into a stitch, and then just yarn over and pull through like normal, and then yarn over and pull through. And that's how we connect the two halves. So we're gonna crochet all around the second half, but we're gonna skip these 2 stitches right here. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. For now, let's just crochet all around the outside of this first half. Okay, so we have just crocheted all around except for these last 2 stitches. So we're going to leave these last 2 stitches in this round unworked into, and we're also going to skip the 2 stitches over here. And then I'm just going to crochet directly into the 3rd stitch from the stitch marker. And I'm just going to join it like we did before, so I'm just going to yarn over, and then yarn over again, pull through. And as you can see, we've skipped 2 stitches on either side on both sides. And then we're just going to continue crocheting all around. So I've just got to my stitch marker, meaning I finished this intermediary joining round. So I'm just gonna single crochet into that stitch that the stitch marker was in, and then we're gonna replace the stitch marker. And you should have 32 stitches total, not including these two, the gap in the middle, because we originally had 18 stitches on each side, and then we skipped 2 on each side, so 18 minus 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32. And we've just joined the heart. So to close the gap in the middle between the 2 halves, we're just going to grab the tail from one side, it doesn't really matter which side, and we're going to thread it through a tapestry needle. Then we're going to whip stitch close this little gap, and the way to do that is you just insert the needle into the either side. I'm going to go with the right side, and you pull the yarn through, and then you bring your needle back around, and then insert the needle again into the next space, and then bring it back around and do that again. And just one more time for good measure. So we're basically just closing the gap which we left earlier when we skipped those 2 stitches on either side. So now you should see the stitching going across the middle. If you flip it over, you can see that there's not a gap anymore. So we're just going to tie a knot right here. And then I just take the yarn off and then put it back to where the tail was. So now we've just closed the gap between the 2 halves, and we can just leave the tail there. So the next part of the pattern says that we need to single crochet all around the now connected halves, and that's going to be 32 stitches in total. So I'm just going to work all around. Alright, so I've just finished the first round of the bottom half, and the next round is going to be 6 single crochets and then a decrease. So we're going to begin with the 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to do a decrease. So to decrease, insert your hook into the front loop of the stitch right next to your hook, And then without yarning over or doing anything, just insert the hook into the front loop of the next stitch. So now you have the front loops of 2 stitches and also your original loop on your hook. And then you're just going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through again. And that is your invisible decrease. And we're just going to repeat that sequence, so 6 stitches and then a decrease all around. So I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to do the decrease again. So going through the front loop of the one with the first stitch. So let me just, there we go. And then the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through both. So I'm just going to keep doing that sequence all around. So I just finished my round of 6 single crochet stitches and 1 decrease, and you can see that the shape of the heart is beginning to form. So this next round is going to be very similar to the last round, but we're going to do 5 single crochet stitches and then we're going to decrease once, and we're going to do that all around. So the only difference is that we're going to single crochet 5 stitches instead of 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to do the same decrease like that. And then we're going to repeat that sequence all around your project. And I've just finished that round. So our next round is going to be single crochet 4 stitches and then a decrease. So I'm going to single crochet 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then do my decrease just like before. And then repeat that sequence all around. So it's 4 single crochet stitches and then a decrease. Alright, so we just finished that round, which was 4 single crochet stitches and a decrease. And now your work should look something like this. So you basically have the top half a heart now, and it's so cute. And you basically have like these 2 chambers. And now would be a good time to start stuffing. So grab your polyester fiberfill and kind of like this. Looks like a cloud. And just pull it apart a little bit so that it's not all clumped together. Otherwise, when you put it in, it'll all be in one clump and it'll be kind of lumpy. And then with little chunks at a time, just stuff it, first one side and then another side. And if you're having trouble pushing it in, You can use your fingers, or you can use the back of your crochet hook or something like that. And just stuff it until it's just under the most recent row so that your hook isn't catching on it all the time. And also, if you have 4mm safety eyes, you can go get those right now. So grab your safety eyes, and I'm using 4mm safety eyes. I think the measurement is for the diameter. And so identify this is the first round of the lower half because this is the first round where they're both connected. In between this first round of the lower half and the second round, insert the safety eyes with 3 stitches apart. So I'm just going to put the first one here. I'm just going to kind of shove it through with my fingers. And then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then I'm going to put the next one right there. So 1, 2, 3. So the eyes are right in the middle. Yep. And to embroider the mouth, you should get black embroidery thread. And here I've split the thread apart, so you'll notice that this is way thinner than how thick the embroidery floss usually is if you buy it. So I'm using actually only two strands of the normal thread. The normal thread is 6 strands, so I'm only using two, 1/3 of that thickness. And I think because this face is really small, it looks a bit better. So with this, I'm going to use a normal embroidery needle, and I just cut a length of about maybe 1.5 feet, but you won't need that much. And I'm just going to tie a knot at the end. And I'm going to tie another knot on top of it. So that becomes a bit bigger. And then I'm going to thread the embroidery thread through the eye of the embroidery needle. If you have trouble with this, you can use a needle threader, but usually you're able to just sneak it through. So we're just going to be sewing the mouth on. So I'm going to make the mouth a little V right here, and I'm going to do it in 2 stitches. The first one's going to come up from here and then come down at the bottom of the mouth, and then I'm going to go down from the bottom and then come up over here and then go down again. So that looks about right for the top left. So I'm just going to pull the thread up until the knot gets there. I'm going to go down at the middle or bottom of the mouth, maybe right over here, maybe a bit lower. Let me see. Just poke it through all the way. Nope, it's kind of caught. So that's the left half of the mouth, and then I'm just going to come up on the other side directly opposite so that the mouth is even and parallel. Maybe about there. And then I'm just going to go down to the middle again so that the mouth comes together. And we have a little mouth. With the embroidery thread, I'm just going to cut it. I don't even really need to tie knot because it won't really come loose. And just put the thread aside because I won't need it anymore. And there, you have the face. So now we can continue crocheting the bottom of the heart. So this next round is going to be single crochet 3 and then 1 decrease. So I'm gonna just go ahead with that. Awesome, so we've just finished the round with the 3 single crochet stitches and then 1 decrease. And our next round is 2 single crochet stitches and a decrease. So pretty much just similar to what we've been doing. So we just finished that round, which was the 2 single crochet stitches and 1 decrease, and we're almost done. So this is probably going to be the last chance we have to finish stuffing. So I'm just going to grab some extra fiberfill and just finish up poking it through that gap right there. And this is going to be your last chance to stuff it, so make sure you get everything in there that you want. And just make sure that it feels as firm or as squishy as you want it to be. I think that's good for me. So I'm going to be finished with stuffing and move on to the last round. The last round is just going to be 1 single crochet stitch and a decrease. And this is going to be the last one that we do. So that is our last round, and I don't have to put my stitch marker in there anymore because we're not going to be using it anymore. So to finish off our heart, we're going to be finishing off in the round. So to do that, grab your scissors and just cut a cut a length of maybe 1 foot from the tail and pull that tail through the loop. And then grab your tapestry needle and thread that tail through the eye. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the posts, which are the little vertical sections under each stitch, and we're going to weave our needle over and under all of those posts. So I'm just going to over this one, under this one, and pull it through. Then I'm going to over the next one, and under, and over, and under, and over, and under. I believe that's the last one. So there are 8 posts total because there are 8 stitches left. And then because we've just woven them through all the last round stitches, we're just going to cinch it tightly shut, and then we're going to insert the needle through the center and pull the needle through. And then we're going to grab the scissors and then just cut the tail wherever you poke the needle through. And if that end is still visible, I can't even find it. Just poke it through with the needle. And yeah, your heart is done.